This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. We're going to talk about Joe Budden and Troy Ave, and then we're going to talk about Troy Ave and Taxstone. And then we're also going to talk about Joe Budden and his podcast deal. Or his podcasting network that he's doing. So let's start first off. Troy Ave and Joe Budden have a problem over Joe Budden's comments about Troy Ave on many different situations, mostly about his back and forth with Taxstone, which is funny because Joe Budden and Taxstone didn't get along. I don't care if they fake made up or whatever. Taxstone had no respect for Joe Budden, and I understand why. Joe Budden, now, how you guys view him versus in the rap world between 2005 to 2012, I guess. Everyone respects Joe Budden as a lyricist, but he does a lot of goofy stuff, okay? Like, the whole situation with Ransom was super goofy, and it actually, all those going back and forth with those two, and Joe Budden taping everything for Joe Budden TV, actually helped Ransom in jail for years, because Joe Budden went to go bring it to Ransom's block, and, a weapon went off, something was I'm not saying Joe Budden did it, but somebody in that circle pointed towards Ransom, and Ransom went in because he had a weapon in the crib. And they since made up and everything, but I don't know. It was a weird situation. Especially, and Ransom did some goofy stuff too, like going to Joe Budden's man's house and his man slapped the guy in the face. There was no reason. That was a little goofy too. Let's be honest. It was like 9 at night. It was like, I think it was someone's mom's house. I don't know what it was. That whole situation was actually kind of goofy. Anyways, Joe Budden, we'll get into his complex thing in a minute. And, I respect what Joe Budden's doing now, leaving Spotify. That takes a backbone to do that. Okay, so I respect certain moves he does. And it's an interesting move. We'll get into that in a second. Regarding Taxstone, his case, CV, kind of the whole thing, the shutdowns and everything is slowing everything up. His federal case won't move forward until a state case is done, and the state case is all slowed up, and they won't resume until this is all situated. And as we know, New York is just done, So that's all on pause, and I assume the same for Troy Ave's case, because Troy Ave says he still can't travel anywhere, and he still has a pending case. So that's what he said on Akademiks Live today, and this is how the whole Joe Budden and Troy Ave thing sparked up again today, because Troy Ave was talking to Akademiks on Live. Joe Budden was spamming him, saying you soft, this and this on the text. Like what is it? He was trolling him in the comments. Sorry. And then he got on there. But Joe Budden got on there and started talking about Troy Ave a little bit, but he didn't take it seriously. He said, that's rap stuff. I don't play those rap games. You do. You're on Love and Hip Hop. You play all kinds of games, okay? Joe Budden's funny because he'll say one thing and do another thing. And that's what I'm talking about, this stuff back in 2005 to 2012. But we all accept that's Joe Budden. We just accept it for what it is, like... He says a lot of good stuff too on his podcast, so I'm not gonna totally say that. He's entertaining, okay? Joe Budden's entertaining. So regarding his podcast thing, so when he went to Complex, him and Akademiks started a show very similar. I'm not saying they per se copied it, but similar to what me and MREC were doing with Daily Hip Hop Live for like 8 months before that they even started that show. And, obviously we didn't keep it up. Rec couldn't do it every night, so we didn't keep it up. Plus, I think he lost, a lot of steam got lost because, not just Rec, a lot of steam just got lost because Everyday Struggle was under Complex, and, they had tons of money being pumped into it, meaning like with marketing and everything. And I think I was going to keep going, but I don't think Rec wanted to so much. Because of that, it sucks when your things get stolen. I'm not saying it's Rec's fault or anything. It's just after we kept doing it for like 6 months after that, and after a while, I was like, let's just chill with this for a while. But anyways, you know, Joe Budden and Akademiks, good show. Nadeska was on there. It was cool. A lot of money was being pumped into the show and making it known, and they were pumping in view. You know, you know how these networks do. You know, Complex is under Verizon. When negotiations for the new contract came up, Joe Budden wanted more money. I think he even asked for a piece of the company. That's just a rumor. I don't know if that's true. It would be crazy if he did. And they were questioning how much money they're pulling in from YouTube and everything, which Joe Budden... Okay, so this is what's interesting. Joe Budden's about to start a network. Okay, so we'll get back to that in a second. Just remember, Joe Budden's starting a network. So, he wanted a piece of the company. Didn't understand that the revenue being pulled in from that show, that's the show that's working right now. They make a lot of investments at these companies, right? Joe Budden and Akademiks, they were an investment. And they were only willing to do a year because it could have been a failed investment. You know, they only wanted to be committed to paying them for a year. So, that's the one that worked. They had launched a bunch of shows at that time. They launched some sports show with explicit star on it. I forget her name. The one that the you know who I'm talking about. She talks sports. I started some other show that didn't really work. They started a gaming show that didn't really work, like, you know, for gamers. This is the one that worked. And they said, well, we use this money to pay the whole, you know, for our staff. You know, it's a pool of money. They were doing Complex News at that time and some other content, the sneaker content. They had Hot Ones at that, you know, that's still part of their brand. And you can isolate the money and see how much it's making if you put it in a playlist, which they do. But they wouldn't let them see the analytics from that, meaning the CPMs and how much money they're pulling in and the ads they're pulling in. You know, ad placements. And Joe Budden decided to leave. But in a company, he's going to have to deal with this now because he's starting a network. He decided to leave Spotify. Spotify did a year deal. What was it, a year or 2 year deal? I think it was a 2 year deal. They invested millions of dollars. Joe Budden had billboards in Times Square, everything. Spotify put a lot of money into him. They put him at the front of their algorithm and everything, right? They put a lot of money behind Joe Budden, and luckily, he's lucky that they don't own his name in podcasts. He's able to leave. And he's lucky in that sense because Spotify is going through a lot of turmoil right now. They've just signed a lot of podcasts. They're having problems with Joe Rogan because the people in the company don't like what Joe Rogan says and they want to edit it, and then free speech isn't respected anymore. And it's a lot of problems. A lot of censorship. They want to take things to TV. Joe Budden wanted to maintain his YouTube and everything else, but they want a piece of everything now. They want to do a 360 deal with you. I think it's a good time to leave. Okay, they want too much. You don't know if you're going to be the priority investment anymore because they're signing a lot of big acts, a lot of networks, and they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these products, these podcast networks. And Joe Budden might just like give him $10-20 million that he has to split with everybody over there. And that's not enough money, you know, honestly, you know, like that's your thing. What are you going to do if that doesn't work? You know, the Revolt TV show is not that great with Remy Ma and everybody. It's just not that good. This is his thing and the pull-up thing, and they wanted pull-up too. So he opted to leave and have a network. Now, Joe Budden's going to have to do the same thing Complex did. If he's making most of the money, right? Or say the girl podcast he just signed, say his podcast kind of falls off, just hypothetically, and the girl one takes off. And then they're like, well, we should own a piece of the company. He's going to say, no, you know what it took to get here? I had to go through Complex. I had to go through Spotify. I had to build this network. And now this pays for the other 5 acts I've signed now because I have to keep them going. So your revenue that he's going to say, I invested in you. This is the funny thing. This is where the hypocritical part's going to come in. He's going to tell them, most likely, I invested in you. And the payout is you're bringing a pool of money in for the company to keep everything going. And then eventually, if we ever sell, everyone will get a piece. And the Joe Budden in that situation would leave. So it's business. You know, you shouldn't, okay, to be ruthless, you shouldn't see it from everybody's perspective. But looking from the outside in, and now it's public, you know, it's just my piece. Like, Charlamagne, pretty sure iHeart is going to own, I don't care what they report. They're investing a lot of money in that. Pepsi is investing half of the money. He has a guaranteed sponsor, Charlamagne. Pepsi. Pepsi is half owner of his network. And he can never walk away from that. It's a company. But Charlamagne gets it. He's a team player. He's been doing this for 10 years at iHeart. He always knew that you can branch off and do more stuff. He built a lot of stuff on the outside. As much as you might not like Charlamagne, I don't like everything he says, you have to respect the moves. I respect Joe Budden's move for leaving. That takes a lot of guts. He could just take a few million, put $5 million up and retire and just not care. But he wants to build more. He wants to build a network. I think it'll work. I think he's got he has a good partner. Ian is a good partner. He manages DJ Premier and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I know I'm rambling, but I find this stuff kind of interesting. Watching it play out. The space is changing a lot. I've been doing media my whole life. I've had a lot of changes. DVDs, the come up DVDs, my DVDs, the burn DVDs that, was the start before the come up. World Star, me and Q teamed up very early before you guys even knew what it was, and I exclusively did my content over there, and I learned my lesson by not doing my contracts properly, and I didn't pivot when I should have in 2009. And, I made my mistakes. We all make our mistakes. Joe Budden's made his mistakes. We all make mistakes and we get burned. It's part of the business. Then I moved on to, I did commercial. I actually was done with the business for a few years and did commercials. And then I came back and started a media platform, just doing this, But I've always been doing media, reporting on what's going on. I had my own label at Caroline at one point, where I did joint deals. Prodigy and I did a lot of business together. Just, I've been around, Joe Budden's been around, and we've made our mistakes, and we'll make more. You always make more mistakes. You never stop making mistakes, but they're really not losses. They're real life lessons. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. I'll check you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have a great start to your day. Taking it a little easy this weekend, as you can see, not as many videos, but trust me, everything will gear up tomorrow as it has to. I just decided to take, you got to have one day where you don't go as hard. Otherwise, you don't recharge. Always remember that for yourself. Appreciate you guys. Peace.